So I've noticed a trend over the past 5 years, probably about 5 years, and it's this idea that my clients who have been with me in some cases 20 more than 20 years, um, their kids grew up and they became young adults themselves, and they're thinking about college or maybe not to go to college, and they're thinking about what job they want, and they're thinking about money. And I'll get requests from the parents, can you talk to my son or my daughter? And I did a few times, but it's weird, right? Because you go from talking to somebody who's at the very top of corporate America, and has been there for a long, long time, or maybe it's a surgeon or a business owner who's very successful. And then I have to shift gears and I have to talk to, a 21-year-old, a 23-year-old. And it dawned on me like that's something that is a necessity. We need to do that. And the reason we do is I lucked out. I started this business and this career at 23. And so I learned, really from the best, very young, things like cash flow and how much to save and how do taxes work. And you should buy things like life insurance and long-term disability insurance well before you have a family. Things that 23-year-olds just aren't thinking about and being taught. I learned about investing. I learned about how markets crash because I started in 1998, and pretty soon after that, the market did crash. And it was down for 3 years. It really took almost 15 years for certain markets like the NASDAQ to recover. So, I lucked out because I was in this career very young and I was taught these things, but most people aren't. And so if I wasn't in this career at 23, if I was doing any other corporate job or any other business, I would probably be 35 to 40 years old before I looked at it, which happens to a lot of my clients, and they don't want that to happen to their kids. And so this mini series of podcasts is to address that and start talking to the adult children of my clients to kind of get them up to speed quicker. So today, I'll say, Jamie and I, my wife and I, we've got 6 kids. We have 5 girls and 1 boy, and they range all the way from almost 19 years old down to 4 years old. And today I have with me our second oldest, Amelia, and she's my favorite because she's sitting here. So Amelia is ending her high school career. She's gonna, think about what's next, and you've got a lot of things going on in your head. And what I wanted to talk to you about, or really ask you about today, is well, what do you like? What do you think of? We didn't prep this, I didn't tell you what to say or what not to say, but what do you think of when you think about money in the next 2, 3, 5 years? What's on your mind?
I know from a young age I was taught to save as much money as you can, but we were never taught where to put the money when it's saved. So a lot of my friends know what my dad does, and they ask me like, hey, like, what should I do with my money? And so I just have that question for you before I answer your question fully. What should someone who just turned 18 do with their money that they have saved?
So this is interesting because, so Amelia, do you know how much money you have invested right now? Do you know the number?
Uh, Probably $10,000.
Pretty close. So Amelia's done a really good job. She's always been very entrepreneurial. Always had different jobs, and you have saved a lot. What's the percentage that we tell you to save when
60%.
60%, right? So when you're an adult and you have other demands, a minimum of 20%, but when you're a kid, you've got the ability to do this. So she's saved a bunch. She's got about $11,000 invested, and your money is in the exact same portfolio that the family money's in. It's a 95% stocks. And so, but even being the daughter of a financial guy, I haven't sat down and explained all the different markets and how they all work. So when your friends ask you that, well, where should I invest my money? Really, you should back up and say, well, how much money do you have saved? Because you are fortunate. You've got a bunch of money that's not all in the stock market, which could go down, right? You could lose 30% of that in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing we do is we just get a savings account. You get a good amount of money in your savings account. Once you've got that good amount of money in there, then you can go and you can do what you've done, which is to invest in stocks. So does that answer it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. How would someone my age invest in stocks? Would they have to get a financial advisor?
No, I mean, at 18, no, you don't need to get a financial advisor. The truth is it's going to be tough to find a financial advisor who's going to work with you at 18 or 21 or 23. because good advice is expensive, and that would be true of a CPA or an attorney or any professional. If they've got experience and they're good at what they do, they're not cheap. And so at 18 or 21 years old, it's tough to afford that. You don't need a financial advisor. You can go and do it direct. There's some complications to that. So that's going to be our next conversation on a separate podcast, or what are some of the pitfalls of investing that I see out there. I think if you're fortunate enough that if your parent does have a financial advisor that they're comfortable with, that you can use them, it would be smart for you to start talking to them, or, hey, can I get 10 minutes on the phone with them? Can I ask them a question? Can I send them an email? Establish some sort of a relationship with them so that they can help you. I think most advisors would do it for you without charging you. I know we do that a lot because the parents of the client.
Okay.
Yeah. So what worries you? And I know there's a lot of worries because you're my daughter and we talk about it, but what specifically to money, what are some of the things that, I don't want to say keep you up at night, but that are on your mind that when you sit and do think about it, you're like, oh my gosh, it's too much to even consider?
Yeah, so right now I'm younger and I don't have a mortgage on anything or anything that is expected of me to have a certain amount of money by the time it's due. But one thing that does worry me is knowing that whenever I'm older, I'm going to have that and to have to be responsible enough to pay that. And also, what happens if something does happen to me? If
Mhm.
I break my shoulder, how am I going to pay my mortgage?
Right. Interesting. So she just had shoulder surgery, right, from wrestling. And you wouldn't think it to look at her, but she's a killer. But yeah, you hurt your shoulder. So that's interesting because some of the worries that you have, actually, what mom and I have taught you about saving first and the percentage to save and things of that nature, you're going to have the money there that when things pop up, it's going to be a blown tire on a car, or replace the battery in a car, or you rent a house and something goes wrong there and you're responsible for it and you never planned for it. You're going to have that money saved up just by virtue of us telling you, hey, save 60%, or as you have a job and you've got taxes and other stuff, maybe it's 30% or 40% or 20%. And a certain portion of that money, because you're used to doing it, will go into cash, and that'll pay for the things that just kind of pop up. Now, the second thing you brought up, I actually talked about in the little opening, which is what happens when a catastrophic event occurs, right? Now, you're fortunate. It's like if something really bad happened to you, mom and dad got you, right? Yeah. You know that. It's always going to be the case. But, when you're grown up and you're an adult and you're a mom, and you're married, and maybe you're the main breadwinner and you do have something like a long-term disability. Well, those are the things that when you're young, nobody talks to you about. And we really haven't either yet. We just kind of took care of some of it, things like life insurance and stuff like that. We just did for you and the other kids. But things like disability insurance. So your shoulder wouldn't keep you out of work, for a year. But what if you did have like a neck injury like I had, and you are out of work for a year or so? We're going to teach you that things like disability insurance should be bought early, and so you've kind of checked that box. So that's to come. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good one. I knew you were worried about paying your mortgage, which you don't even have yet. What else can you think of?
So I'm not going to college, most likely, but I know a lot of kids my age are going to college. And if I was going to college, I would be very concerned about student loans and how those even work in the first place.
This is an interesting topic because, when I graduated college in 97 or 98, college was very different. If you're my client and you're close to my age, I'm 51 now. Um, College was a lot less expensive. You graduate with a college degree, you leave college, you have a good job, you're making good income. Totally different world than now. There's a very good argument to be made that a lot of college isn't worth it, and it's hard on the parents to hear. But you just have to do the math around it, right? And we've done that. And so when she says she's probably not going to college, maybe you do eventually. If you do or you don't is really irrelevant. What we want you to do is to find a good career, something you like doing and is profitable, a productive member of society. Amelia is very entrepreneurial, so she's more of the business owner mindset. So just going to college and racking up $100,000 of student loan debt to get a communication degree like I got isn't going to help her build a business necessarily. So yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting thing you're bringing up about student loans, even though you're not likely going to go to college. Your kids, if you're listening to the podcast, they may not even bring it up, but they're thinking about it. What do I do with student loans? And maybe it's the parents that are worried about it because, oh my gosh, are we going to have to pull $100,000, $200,000 out of retirement to pay for my child to go to college? What's that going to do to me? This is a family discussion that really should be had. And I think it's a cool thing you brought up because to have that discussion with the child, with an advisor is probably smart because I don't want an 18-year-old or a 17-year-old making a $200,000 decision. Because if you spend $100,000 on college today, had you kept that money and invested it, that could easily be five or six or $700,000 out in the future. So it could put a big dent in the future. Those are great. Those are great things. Okay, we're going to stop this podcast. We're going to do another one, another series of podcasts about what are the dangers and the pitfalls that I see through the eyes of her and maybe some of her friends with investing in particular, because there's some real dangers out there that we want to address.
Joseph DeLisi is a registered representative and financial advisor of Park Avenue Securities, LLC, OSJ 5280 Carroll Canyon Road, 300 San Diego, California, 92121-619-648-6400. Securities products and advisory services offered through PAS, member FINRA, SIPC. Financial representative of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, Guardian, New York, New York. PAS is a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. WestPac Wealth Partners, LLC is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian. Insurance products offered through WestPac Wealth Partners and Insurance Services, LLC, a DBA of WestPac Wealth Partners, LLC. CA Insurance License number 0D34103. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not to be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice. Although the information has been gathered from sources believed to be reliable, please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon only when coordinated with individual professional advice. Guardian, its subsidiaries, agents, and employees do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. Guardian and its subsidiaries do not issue or advise with regard to mortgages, property and casualty insurance, and/or car insurance. Consult your tax, legal, or accounting professional regarding your individual situation. All investments and investment strategies contain risk and may lose value. Diversification does not guarantee profit or protect against market loss. Equities may decline in value due to both real and perceived general market, economic, and industry conditions. Investing in securities of smaller companies tends to be more volatile and less liquid than securities of larger companies. Investing in the bond market is subject to certain risks, including market, interest rate, issuer, credit, and inflation risk. This material is intended for general use. By providing this content, Park Avenue Securities LLC and your financial representative are not undertaking to provide investment advice or make a recommendation for a specific individual or situation, or to otherwise act in a fiduciary capacity. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Indices are unmanaged and one cannot invest directly in an index.
A6925121 expires January 2028.